Welcome to Cook It with Tim, and today we're going to be making my viral recipe, Cheeseburger Casserole, and you can actually find this recipe in my cookbook on page 67 with the full typed out recipe and the picture. So let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and get started. Cheeseburger Casserole. Now the first step is to get your potatoes. These are just Idaho russet potatoes, and I've washed them and I've dried them, and I've got a sheet pan lined. And what I'm gonna do is simply take these potatoes right here, boom, and we're simply gonna stick them in the oven at 400 degrees. It's gonna take about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm really excited to show this recipe, so let's get this train moving. All right, slide those potatoes on your middle tray, just like that. And we're gonna come back about an hour, 15 minutes later, and they'll be ready. The potatoes just came out of the oven, so they're really hot. And what you're looking for is basically a baked potato, and you want it soft all the way through. But here's what I actually recommend if you're gonna make this dish. Bake the potatoes that morning or the night before so that they have a full hour or so to completely cool off before we make little round slices out of these in order to build the dish. That is a tip that will help you tremendously. Potatoes are baked and cooled. Now I've got all my ingredients and my supplies right in front of me that you're gonna need to make this amazing dish to feed your family. So you're gonna need a big pot or a saute skillet, whatever works for you. Then we're gonna need a baking dish. So I've got a Hexclad 3-quart, and I've got this little Staub baking dish. And then we've got 2 packs of cheese, Aldi of course, woo, shout out to Aldi, maybe they'll sponsor me. Pound of ground beef, and here is our seasonings, and a couple cheese shredding options. You can use a box grater, or you can use this little fancy thing right here from Amazon. And then we've got onion, bell pepper, cream of mushroom soup, some oil, and that little spray oil to make sure that it doesn't stick to your pan or dish. Let's get started. Now let's shred our cheese. With this box grater, we're gonna go on the big side, and we're just simply gonna shred it just like that. And the reason that I like to do fresh cheese, because it just tastes so much better than that bag stuff that has who knows what's in it, you know what I mean? Before I use my knife, every single time, or even after I use it, I always run it on my honer. And what that does, it assures that your blade will stay sharp and you sharpen your knives a lot less. Like for example, this chef knife that I have from Flint and Flame, one of my favorite knife companies. Go check them out. The link is down below in the description. I got this knife, it's almost a year. 1st of August will be a year that I've had this knife. I've never sharpened it because I always run on a honer every single time before I cook. All right, now let's cut up our onion and bell pepper. And here's how I like to do my onion. I just simply cut off the end, and then I'm gonna slice it right down the middle. All right, then we're just gonna simply peel off that outer layer. Sometimes it's a little stubborn, kind of like your nephew who just don't want to be quiet when you told him 3 or 4 times. And you just gotta do what you gotta do. Now let me show you another little quick trick. Is get you a discard bowl. This may not make a lot of sense to some people, but get a discard bowl. And instead of opening up your trash can about 29 times, just put your discard right in there, okay? And then once this is full, we'll put that in the trash. All right, now let's simply put a dice on these onions, and whenever I do it, I like to make sure that the core stays at the end so that when I'm chopping, or I'm gonna slice this way, and then I'm gonna chop, that way the core is holding the onion together. That's just the way that I like to do it. Is it maybe a chef style, but maybe not, but it's the way I like to do it. All right, see what I'm gonna do is run my knife, and we're gonna slice all the way through it. See that right there? I've sliced all the way through it, and it's still holding together. It allows you to do a simple dice. All right, and then that last part, you just kind of rough chop it. Now let's cut our bell pepper. Let me show you how I like to cut my bell peppers. And the first thing that I'm gonna do to it is I'm simply gonna cut the top off, just like that. All right, then we're gonna go with the bottom. And notice how that little growth part, it just came right out. Therefore, the top and bottom, there's almost no waste. All right, now, here's what I'm gonna show you how to do next. Take your knife and run a slit down it, just like that. Then we're gonna flip it, and then put your knife in that little slit, and just slowly run your knife along the inside. And there you have a properly dismembered bell pepper. Oh, don't forget, we've got to get this little guy here. You're gonna discard that. And the reason that I like to cut my bell peppers like this is because it just makes chopping a bell pepper a lot easier and gives you more consistent cuts. So I'm just gonna cut this in 3s so that we can deal with it. What I like to do is just make slices, just like this. Okay, these long slices. So here's those slices, and then it simply allows me to dice them really, really easy. See how easy that comes out? All right, now what do you do with these two? Well, it's really simple. You just make slices the same way. These will come out just a hair wonky, but at the same time, they're flat enough you can get a decent, consistent cut or a dice. And that's all you're gonna do with these right here. Just do your best to kind of get you a little chop on those. Let's get our potatoes cut. And what I like to do is cut them in the form of, cut them into rounds. And here, let me demonstrate that. I've got my potatoes, they're cooled, and I've got a serrated blade. All right, so let's put your hand right here, then we're gonna make a round. Okay? Just like that. And here you have potatoes cut into round to go with my famous cheeseburger casserole. And remember that discard, that allows us to put it in there just like that. Next, we're gonna cook our ground beef. I've got my 3-quart Hexclad pot and a pound of ground beef. This is not rocket science. Cook it until it's about 70% cooked. And then we're gonna add all those seasonings in there. So I'll see you in a hot minute. Break up your meat while that's cooking, and right here you can kind of see. Here, let me show you on the camera. That's about 60% cooked. Wait, that flame's hot. I shouldn't do that. Now it's time to season the meat. And what I did ahead of time is I combined all of the seasoning inside this little ramekin right here. I'm just gonna take this ramekin of seasoning that I put in the ramekin, and I'm gonna season the meat. Just like that. And you can tell the meat is pretty much cooked all the way through. Now, let's drain off what little bit of grease there is, because now we're gonna cook the onions and peppers. Just take a little plastic bowl, little strainer. All right, now we're staying over a medium heat. We're gonna take a little bit of avocado oil, and this actually is in the recipe. We're gonna place that right in there. Now we're gonna put in our onions, bell peppers. You're simply just gonna give those a stir, and we're gonna let those cook down. It's gonna take about 7 to 8 minutes to get soft. And once they get soft, we're gonna add in our ground beef. Onions and peppers are cooking. Now I need to open up a can of cream of mushroom soup. Cream of mushroom soup, and we've got this fancy little can opener. Look at that. Makes it really, really easy. I'll have this link below too. I've had this for about 5 years now. I did drill a hole right there so I can hang it on my wall. See how easy that is? You really should get one of these. All right, we're moving right along. The next step, once the onions and bell peppers have been cooked down, they are tender, we are simply gonna add in that ground beef that has been seasoned and cooked. And then next we're gonna add in some cream of mushroom soup. And if you don't like canned soups, make your own. I've got a video on that, believe it or not. Add that cream of mushroom soup right here. And something to point out really, really quickly. If cream of mushroom kind of grosses you out, you can definitely easily use cream of chicken. There's also a third option. You can use cream of celery. But for me, I think the flavors work when you add in the cream of mushroom soup. So we're just gonna mix that together. Let's go ahead and turn off the heat. Incorporate the onions, the peppers, the cream of mushroom soup with the ground beef that has been seasoned. Let's take a look at that filling right there. That right there is delicious. The next step, we're just gonna assemble this in a baking dish and we're gonna bake it off. All right, the next step is to get our spray and just spray your pan. And this actually isn't a bad spray. This is just some grapeseed oil. and just rub it around. I just don't want to make, I want to make sure that none of the cheese like sticks to the side real bad or anything. You're gonna have some, but next is we're simply going to take our potatoes and we're just gonna lay out our potatoes like this. Those little potato rounds, just like that. So you can tell we've got all the potatoes lined up and we've got, I don't know that it's symmetric, but we've got every part of the pan covered. All right, the next step is to put a small layer of cheese on top of the potatoes. And the reason that I'm putting cheese on top of the potatoes is to help create a binder to keep the dish together when you're plating it. All right, now let's take that meat and vegetable mixture. We're gonna go right on top and just gonna spread it out evenly. Got that mixture spread pretty evenly on top of the potatoes and the cheese. If that don't make you happy, I don't know what will, because food means happiness. All right, the next step is to top it with the healthy portion of cheese. And of course, the full recipe and instructions are located in my cookbook. And you wanna cover just about every part of that brown part of the casserole or the filling. Something I like to do, I know this may seem a little bit weird, but I just kind of like to press it down a little bit. Just like that. Don't ask me why, but I think it kind of, for me, what I've noticed it do, it squishes some of that filling down into the potatoes. It just makes it that much more happier. Now we're gonna go in the oven, 35 to 40 minutes until all that goodness is melted and comes together, full of happiness. And here's the finished product, the Cheeseburger Casserole. Now you know we need to try it. I wish I had my friends over here trying this. Maybe I can get my camera person to come enjoy this with me. You got the cheese, you got those seasonings, you got the ground beef, onions, peppers, that cream of mushroom soup. Maybe my camera person can come over. We'll see if Aaron even likes it. That's comfort food at its core. We are in the South right here.
I'll make you dance.
All right, thanks for watching. I hope this recipe is very helpful and that you'll add it into one of your monthly routines that you add into cooking for your family. And don't forget to subscribe, like this video, make a comment, and share it with somebody.